Good evening, good to have you with us in the 9 p.m. edition of the Urban Debate. I'm going to pick up a very crucial issue that doesn't often get place in the prime time, but it deserves a national conversation. It deserves your attention and my attention and the attention of this government. The issue of marital rape and how in our country it is not considered as an offense. It is not considered a criminal offense or a crime. In fact, it's not even outright considered till now as grounds for divorce. Because in our country, it seems we believe that as you get married, that comes with a lifelong license to the husband, who whenever he wants it, can demand and get whatever kind of sexual intercourse he desires from his wife. And it will not matter whether she wants it or not. It will not be considered rape if he forces himself upon her. There have been many cases that have landed up in courts. A few years ago, the government was asked for its view, and the government also turned around and said, we don't yet know if the country is ready for it. I'm going to tell you all those details, but why am I talking about it today? Because in a significant judgment, the Kerala High Court has now said that marital rape, although not penalized in India, is good grounds for claiming divorce, and that it falls under physical and mental cruelty. Kerala High Court was actually hearing a man's plea who is challenging his wife's petition for seeking divorce. And the High Court observed that a husband can't claim superior right over his wife. Went on to say that marital rape occurs when husband thinks he possesses his wife's body, and that a man's urge for wealth and sex has distressed the wife to an extent that she's abandoned her monetary claims in that specific context. And so he said, these are grounds enough to file for divorce and to leave the man who treats you like a property. And I believe tonight would be a good time to ask this question again. Why don't we criminalize marital rape? Isn't it still rape at the end of the day? I say good evening to Sandhya Raju, advocate with the Kerala High Court, Brinda Adike, women rights activist, Vivek Reddy, spokesperson for the BJP, Anurag Naidu, social activist, Karuna Nandi, senior lawyer with the Supreme Court, also joining me this evening. Let me start off with Brinda on this. Brinda Adike, every time this topic comes up, it just firstly still surprises me that we live in a country where this is not considered a crime or even an issue.
You're absolutely right, Tanvi. We must remember that we continue to live in a patriarchal society, and even the structures of our justice system are patriarchal, and all the other systems that claim to extend any kind of support to women are also patriarchal. And in this patriarchy, religion, culture, tradition, irrespective of which religion, is the overbearing issue. So it will never be considered that a woman can be raped because she is a wife of this man. And that for that we cannot bring any kind of proof. It is assumed, it is taught, it is conditioned, it is accepted, socially sanctioned that once you are married, then that man possesses you, like you said, and I become a property of that man who married me. So he can do anything. This marital rape cannot be complained. We cannot talk about it outside, and nobody is going to take it up as an issue of cruelty in marriage, which is 498A. Because there is no proof in the bedroom, no proof inside your home, where you can ask for witnesses, circumstantial evidence, None of that can prove in the present court of law. And that is why women today are even in a far worse state. They could be anybody out there. Professors, doctors, scientists, social workers, you name it. Professionally, they will be right at the top there. But they cannot complain because the law of the land will not permit them to complain. And I'm so glad you have got this courage to take up this topic and discuss it on national television. Kudos to you, Tanvi.
Well, the Kerala High Court's judgment also did bring about quite a bit of hope and courage, because at least it's a start. It's a start where, the court has said these are grounds for divorce. In the past, Vivek Reddy, the courts have refrained from entering this space because it's the space for legislation. It's the space for the parliament and the executive to decide. But please explain to me why our government still feels that criminalizing marital rape will disturb the institution of marriage.
Well, I think it's quite a, many-sided, it has many-sided, multifaceted issues that could be debated here. And Brinda Adige's understanding or her projection of the most difficult part of this relationship is also a very important area of consideration. But what I feel is, I think policymakers and particularly governments, while legislating, have avoided the legislative route for this, perhaps because of the abuse that it can cause, or the potentiality that there could be false cases, and these false cases could ultimately have an impact on the institution of marriage. Because in India, unlike other nations, if you see, marriage is a very stable institution. Whether you say it is because of our culture, or it is because of our tradition, or our Sanskriti, or whatever. And modernization has not been able to actually take away that stability that lies in our institution of marriage.
I'm sure a part of it, Mr. Vivek Reddy, a part of this also is the fact that women are told to just be quiet and bear it all. That no matter what happens, you just continue, because marriage is so sacred, and that marriage is the ultimate institution that must not be destabilized, that even being raped by a man inside your bedroom is okay.
Well, I think it is not a thing that it is okay. You have mental cruelty, physical cruelty as a basis for divorce. And it's good that, cruelty as such is not defined. Cruelty is a ground for divorce. Cruelty is not defined. And cruelty is not narrowed down to any specific circumstance. Where marital rape results in cruelty, as the Kerala High Court has pronounced, I think that becomes a basis for divorce. So therefore, the lady is not remediless, but there is no criminal pursuit. There is no criminal action against it. That is where we are debating whether it should be criminalized or not. But if you look at the way, there is a potentiality of abuse. There could be false allegations, and there could be reasons, situations where even if no such incident exists, these issues, these accusations can be heard, and it could disturb the marriage. Well then, this is also an area that has to be considered.
1 minute, sorry. So by that logic, Anurag Naidu, by that logic, let's just decriminalize rapes and murders altogether. I mean, surely there are false rape cases and false murder cases and false theft cases as well. And if our fear is false cases, let's just decriminalize all of it, altogether.
No, Tanvi, no. Both are totally different, and we are not debating the fact. No, I'll tell you, we are not debating the fact, and definitely nobody would disagree with the fact that we do have problem of marital rapes in India, and we are among these 36 countries in the world, the only 36th so-called, where the marital rapes are not criminalized yet. And thanks to our IPC section 375, and there are exemptions in it. And the thing that we should be discussing here right now is how do we create a gateway to improvise our systems, and and all the factors that lead to this marital rape. I was just thinking about it, and Tanvi, and what I understood is we need step-by-step structural reforms, because in the current form, if we give this a lot of, if we give this a lot of audience, and if we give this a lot of hype on letting women come out and feel free to accuse, in some cases, if I may call so, in some cases again, it might just lead to destabilizing the system. But what we need to have in place is step-by-step systematic change. And I would also tell you, Tanvi, I was just one good thought that came into my mind is why do the marriages or the divorce do not take an amicable separation, or do not have a safe and a soft landing? That is also a problem in India, and some of these cases can also be resolved by introduction of UCC, where
Wait, Anurag, wait, I don't know where
yeah.
you're going ahead with this, but I'm sorry, the conversation right now is about marital rape.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm just telling you that is one of the
And
steps.
I am not,
It can be
I am
structurally
not
dealt with.
looking here to find ways of peacefully, mutually resolving divorce proceedings. I am saying, how on earth is it okay when a country refuses to recognize rape just because you are married and there is a certificate? And the argument, Karuna Nandi, that is being given tonight is you still can file for divorce under the section of cruelty. So let us go ahead and also say that it should be okay to chop off the male sexual parts of your husband and let him go and file for divorce under cruelty. A crime is a crime. A murder is a murder. Rape is rape. There is no two ways about it.
I think the point that you made very visually is absolutely correct, which is that you are not allowed to try to kill your wife or to kill your wife in the bedroom. You are not allowed under the criminal law to slap your wife. Let me be clear here. That is criminal in the bedroom. You are not allowed to sexually assault your wife under Section 354 in the bedroom. Why are you allowed to rape your wife? This is something that is pending before the Delhi High Court, and I am leading arguments in that matter, so I will not speak on the merits of that case. However, in the principle of what the Kerala High Court has said, I think the judicial mind on this is led by the various judgments of the Supreme Court that says that if I am married, I am not my husband's chattel. This is a remnant. This is a very sad and pathetic remnant of something that emerged from a man called Lord Hale's mind in Victorian England and then was exported to the rest of the world. And the rest of the world, let me be clear, has gotten rid of it. Nepal said that it has no place in Hindu law, for example. Right? Pakistan got rid of it. It is illegal to rape your wife in Pakistan. For some reason, our enthusiasts in India are saying, no. The stability of marriage is contingent on being allowed to rape your wife. Right? That's what's being said.
Yeah.
Because what if she goes and complains? It has to be allowed. No? Officially, legally, it has to be allowed. And over 90% of the rapes that happen, and I would like the BJP spokesperson to refer to his own government's data. More than 90% of the National Health and Family Welfare Survey, the rapes that they surveyed, said that they happened in the context of marriage. Most women are not going to go to court, let's be clear, because the vast percentage of women do not go to court even for rapes by strangers. But you know what? If someone who summons up the courage and says that I was brutally raped by my husband and you know what, I wanted a divorce and I want him to be answerable to society for raping. Because what if he goes and rapes someone else that he's not married to? What if he goes and gets married again and rapes that person? Right? Does not the state have an interest in making sure that that does not happen? And so we have the gentleman on the panel saying that, oh, let us take a gentle approach here to see that maybe that the institution of marriage should be gently treated. The institution of marriage that currently includes the license to rape. Let's gently treat that. Let's make some structural, gentle changes. Let's not rock the institution of marriage. You know what? The institution of marriage would only be strengthened if there are partners who are consenting with a joyful yes. Partners who want to go ahead in the face of a no are partners who are not worth the time of the woman. But she might decide they are worth the time. But they are answerable under the criminal law if she wishes to make a complaint.
Yes, in fact, that marriage has already,
Can I just come in?
has already gone down the drain. If that is the kind of equation that exists between the man and the woman, it's not the sacred marriage that we are talking about any which ways. Vivek Reddy, you can respond to that before I go to my next panelist. Yes.
Yes, I think I'm glad that Karuna Nandi made an elaborate explanation about various issues pertaining to this. I think, first of all, the fallacy is to say that the willingness of marriage or stability of marriage is contingent upon the license to rape. I mean, what is this? I think this is such a big fallacy, such a big misconception. Well, I think if you have to see the proof of it, you see.
I'm not saying
please,
that.
I didn't disturb you. Please.
But you are inevitably
I didn't disturb you, please. I didn't disturb you. Please. Just listen to me, and then you can retort. You can retort. You can retort later. The conversation doesn't get anywhere, Karuna. If you start interfering, let's just get into a decent conversation. Now, yes. So therefore, the point is, the problem here is that this institution of marriage in India is such a wonderful institution. It has stood the test of time, and it brings in so much of joy, peace, and stability. There are, of course, instances, as Karuna pointed out, and as Brinda pointed out, extreme instances. Extreme instances. Miss Karuna. Oh, come on, please don't stand on this protocol. Please don't stand on this protocol. Please. I request you. We are discussing the issue. You are doing a very efficient job in trying to divert the issue.
You can call me Ms. Nandi.
You're doing a wonderful job in trying to divert the issue. Don't worry about names. Don't worry about names, Karunaji. Don't worry about names.
Mr. Reddy,
I can call you Karunaji. Don't worry.
Mr. Reddy, as we,
right, Karunaji.
1 minute,
Right,
please. May I just come in here? I think it would just bode well for everybody if you follow what panelists would like you to call them by their full name. Firstly, you know as well as I do, it's all in the name these days, Mr. Vivek Reddy. We are naming and renaming our awards. You won't listen to what your co-panelists saying about how to call them.
Yes, all right, Karunaji, with all as you expect. Karunaji. So the point is this. The issue is that you are trying to take a few instances in the Indian marriage, and you're trying to say that the whole of the Indian marriage is like that. Now, when you provide for a law, let me just complete, please. When you provide for the law looks at a broad universal mischief that is there. If the whole of Hindu marriage or the whole of Indian marriage is affected by these rapes, then the law will definitely step in and try to provide for a solution. But if you look at the whole gamut of Indian marriage,
what do you mean by that?
It does not have this rape.
Because the law doesn't exist. What are we going and complaining under which law?
These instances are so rare in Indian marriage that please don't try to stereotype it.
Mr. Reddy, it doesn't matter. Mr. Reddy, I'm sorry, allow me to come in here before every single person, women on this panel collectively lose their plot on what they're saying. Allow me to come in here, Mr. Vivek Reddy, and spare you some grief.
Well, the problem is...
Listen to me here, Mr. Vivek Reddy. You talking over me is not going to work here. I am shocked and appalled that you are reducing this conversation to statistics. I don't know if he can hear me. Can he hear me? Is my audio going across to Vivek Reddy? Is my audio going across to Vivek Reddy? Vivek Reddy, hello. Tanvi Shukla to Vivek Reddy from the studios of Urban Debate to Mr. Vivek Reddy. Can you hear me? And if you can, Mr. Reddy, I am shocked and I am appalled that you are going to reduce the conversation about marital rape to statistics. I don't care if your statistics, official statistics, tell you 5 women or 50 women or 50 lakh women in India are being raped by their husbands. Even one shouldn't be. And if she is, and if she chooses to find a legal recourse and send that man behind bars for rape, she needs to have that right in this country, Mr. Reddy. This is plain and simple.
Let me tell you.
Please do not reduce this to statistics.
Let me answer.
There is no question. What are you answering?
The law looks at the potential.
At what point did you see this as a question, Vivek Reddy? At what point did you see this as a question? At what point have you seen this as a question? Please take your self-entitlement somewhere else. Dare you not reduce this? Dare you not reduce the aspect of marital rape to a statistic?
I have government data.
Allow your panelists to talk. Please allow your panelists to talk. I think you should listen also.
I have asked you a question. Can I please go across to other panelists? Make your point. Finish your point, please.
Right. The point is that you brought in dowry harassment cases. Now there have been real dowry harassment cases, but there has been so many false cases on dowry harassment.
So legalize dowry. Legalize dowry also, na. Please stop giving this ridiculous excuse.
The problem is today you find
legalize murder, legalize dowry, legalize rape.
Harassed by false cases.
Legalize it.
So therefore, it's very difficult to, bring in these issues and say that you will criminalize rape in marriage.
You should suffer.
This is the difficulty.
Yeah, please
the problem is
suffer.
That it could destabilize the institution.
Okay.
And we have to be careful.
Sandhya Raju.
Why do you want patriarchal institutions?
Yes.
Reddy's conception on data.
Just 1 minute, Karuna. I have Sandhya Raju who's just patiently heard everybody out. Sandhya Raju, George, good evening to you. This argument that is repeatedly given to us, what about fake cases? What about the institution of marriage and how it will get destroyed with fake cases of marital rape?
Actually, I've been listening to the arguments and absolutely atrocious, I would say, because we deal with domestic violence cases on a daily basis. And most women who come to us, they don't really talk about the sexual violence they go through every day. And it's only when you probe further in detail, they come out and they say how, the kind of violence which they face. Even young women who get married, they are, the first night is usually a rape for most of the women there, most of the women who've come. And they just take it thinking that this is how it is. And when you say, when Mr. Vivek Reddy is talking about stopping destroying the institution of marriage, the very act of rape has destroyed the institution of marriage at the first instance itself. And secondly, it's not, there's no way we can romanticize marriage, because marriage is basically, it should be two individuals coming together and working as living together in partnership rather than one person dominating over the other. And in this case, rape is basically one person trying to exercise their rights over this other person who does not have any say. And most women actually keep quiet about it because they don't know, they can't really go back into their parental home, and they don't speak out also. And we often talk about judges usually, when they are talking about rape cases, when a stranger rapes they usually say that this woman did not show signs of rape. She was not distressed. She did not show any kind of distress. She just walked away. Many married women do the same thing. They suffer rape in the night and they carry out because they don't want the family to know what they have undergo. And the kind of mental stress it affects on them is huge, which is not even considered at all. The external factors, the external abuses which they face is just just an indicator of the kind of violence which she would be facing at home in the night. And many women actually are scared to go back home also fearing this. So and it's not just uneducated women, it's like educated women also who go through all this, and a law on this would definitely, I mean, I feel the Kerala High Court judgment was quite progressive enough to even address this issue of rape as marital cruelty, which is one first step. It's a landmark, and I appreciate the judges who could think of that particular aspect, because it's just Domestic Violence Act considers this in 2005. When it came out, it actually addressed this issue, it understood this issue, and it brought out, but a law would definitely go a long way in addressing, and misuse is totally it's a very obnoxious statement to kind of stop something like this, because rape is a violation of the dignity of a woman.
You can then legalize dowry, you can legalize rape, decriminalize it, and murder, if that is the argument. 5% of women who were surveyed, as per the 5% of the women said that they have experienced sexual violence in the category of spousal violence. This was a National Family Health Survey that was done in 2014-2015. Unfortunately, after that, Anurag Naidu...
83%. Tanvi, sorry to interject here.
Yeah.
But what I have in front of me is, and we filed all of this in court also.
Yeah.
2018, 83% of ever married women between the ages of 15 to 49 years experienced sexual violence and reported their current husband as the perpetrator, right? 83%. The most common form of reported sexual violence was the use of
83% of men?
I'll just tell you.
What sort of data is this, Karananandi? What sort of data is this?
83%. Listen to me first, don't
Please, then you are going to take every man in this country to the court as a rapist. Please, this shows the abuse.
You might be in the 10-15%.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to take every man.
1 minute, please. Allow her to finish. Can I just hear the statistics? Can I just hear the statistics and the source of the statistics before Vivek Reddy speaks? Yes.
Source of the statistics, Mr. Reddy, why don't you Google it and confirm? Is the National Family Health Survey of your government of 2018. Look it up.
Well, let me tell you one thing. Everything you Google does not result in a clear fact. Everything you Google does not result in a clear fact. Please. And I don't think 83% of women are committing some sort of a sexual violence against their spouse. Please, Karunanandi, don't live in a fantasy world. Don't live in a fantasy world, and don't bring those fantasies here.
Read your own data before you come to a debate.
Please, don't bring these fantasies. I don't think 83% of the men in this country are committing any violence. You try to understand the reality. Have you lost sight of reality? You've lost it. You lost touch of reality.
You want to look at the research, the survey.
Here's the data.
How do you speak like this?
Well, I think.
Okay, so if I may, now for my own understanding, and I'm sure my viewers want to know this as much. Okay, 1 minute. Vivek Reddy, I am giving you assurance. I will give you time to speak. Now, first, let's resolve this issue by understanding it. Karuna, the data that I have of the National Family Health Survey is for 2015-2016. You're quoting the data from 2016. 17, 2018, 2018, 2019. This is the National Family Health Survey, and you're saying that the survey that has been done shows that those who were polled, over 80% of them said they had experienced sexual violence from husband.
83. So it's the one that came out in 2018.
Yes.
And it said that 83% of women who had ever been married between the ages of 15 and 49 who had ever experienced sexual violence reported their current husband as the perpetrator. Okay.
Oh, well.
So then you take the pool of married women, and as the pool of married women, if you've ever experienced any kind of sexual violence from anyone, 83% of those said that the perpetrator was the husband. Okay.
No, that is not the meaning.
7%
From the pool of
said it
married
was the
women,
ex-husband.
those who
The
have
most-
experienced
Now,
sexual
Mr. Reddy,
violence,
later.
83%
The
of
most
them said
common
it was their
form
wife.
of reported sexual violence
This is a wrong
was
interpretation.
rape.
Totally wrong
Was use
interpretation
of
by
physical
Karuna.
force or sexual
You are misleading the
intercourse
nation with your
against
facts.
the will of the wife. So what do we have here?
No,
So
you're
he thinks
misleading
what I'm
the
saying is
nation
that
with your
83%
facts.
of
Okay,
husbands
so
Sorry.
what are the correct facts now?
that's
Tell
correct,
us,
right?
Mr. Vivek
I'm
Reddy.
not saying that 83%
Well,
of
from
men have rape. That's
what
not what I'm saying.
from
Yeah,
what
I
I
don't
can
think
listen to
surveys
here,
work like that. So I think
No,
that
no,
I understand
from
and
what I
Karuna
can
Nandi
decipher here-
understands. Mr.
Okay.
Vivek Reddy, what is it that you are saying now? What is your challenge
well,
to
as
this?
from what I can understand from Karuna Nandi's statistics, from out of the pool of married women,
Now,
83%
The National
83% are not.
Family Health Survey, Mr. Reddy.
Allow me to interpret it. Allow me to interpret it.
Yeah, but the National Family Health
Interpretation
Survey
could go
data.
wrong. Interpretation could go wrong. Your
Fair.
interpretation is totally
No,
misleading.
no, I'm
Allow
saying
me to
correct your
interpret it.
attribution. It's
Are we
not
having a
Karuna
debate?
Nandi's data.
Are we having a debate on the facts?
Yes, please.
Right, we are
So
having a
how do
debate on
we
the
interpret
facts,
this
right?
statistic? Tell me.
Yes. Out of the pool of married women, 83% according to Karuna Nandi are the victims of some sort of sexual violence. That is our interpretation.
In the age group
But the
of 18
actual
to 49.
interpretation,
No,
allow me to
that's
complete.
incorrect.
Allow me to complete.
Incorrect.
The
Already.
actual interpretation is that amongst the pool of married women, amongst those who have experienced sexual violence within that pool, 83% say that it is it originates from the husband.
Yes.
That is the
Yes.
interpretation.
Correct.
That's
Right.
what she's
Right.
saying.
Right, absolutely.
You got it right.
Well,
Well
right,
done.
but it is not 83% out of the pool of
We
married
agree.
women. Like you're trying to mislead. It is not that.
Vivek Reddy, go back when you go home, or we're already at home, just replay this video and listen to what I've said. Then we're on the same page now.
Okay, so now.
Well,
so-
that is
that's
not
what your
what you said.
government
I think
data
you should
says. We
replay
agree.
it and see it. You should replay it and see it as to how you interpreted it.
Okay, so
Moving
now,
You have
now are we in
interpreted it by
agreement?
saying
Now are we in
83%
agreement of the
of
statistics? Again, I will reiterate myself. The point was simply to say, Mr. Reddy, that you cannot boil down this conversation to say, oh, just a few women may be going through it, so it's not important enough to bring about a legislation. A crime is a crime,
well, what do you
rape is
do?
a rape.
You will
And
have to look at the balance. A legislation, one second, Tanvi.
So
a
can you
legislation.
give
when
me-
you make a
okay.
legislation,
What are you
you
afraid
also
of?
have to look at the balance.
okay,
You will
so
have to
where
look
are
at
your
the other
statistics?
extreme.
Give me the balance.
You will have to see.
Give me the
You will
balance.
have to see.
Where are your
Well, assuming
statistics,
these-
Mr. Vivek Reddy,
Let us take
as
these
to
statistics
genuine
as right.
cases versus fake
Let us
cases
take
of
these
marital
statistics
rape?
as right. Come
Give
on,
me
let
the
us take these
statistics for
statistics as
genuine
right.
cases versus fake
Let-
cases of marital rape.
Let us take these statistics as right.
Yes.
We admit these statistics, assuming.
Yes.
The point is whether you will be really inverting the institution of marriage or taking the
Which has
institution
been
of
destroyed
marriage
once
by
rape
extremity
comes in.
with false accusations by those who have the potential to file false cases
Okay.
and therefore destroy the institution of marriage.
Okay. So
You will have
Anurag,
the law-
okay,
the
point,
lawmakers will
okay,
have
let
to
me
look at
take that point.
eventuality.
Okay, let
They
me
cannot
take
be
that
blind to
point.
it.
Anurag,
Assuming that there is one case,
Anurag,
assuming as you said, that there is one case.
do we have
The law will have
statistics
to also,
for fake
policymakers
cases?
will also have to look at the other extremity.
Yeah, where are
There's
the
a law
statistics?
against
Imbalance
fake
that you
cases,
But-
but there's no law against marital rape.
Yeah.
Malicious prosecution. It already exists, Vivek Reddy.
Yes, Anurag Naidu, go ahead, please. This whole argument that's thrown every time about fake cases, fake rape cases, fake dowry cases, fake domestic violence cases, then and now fake marital rape cases. What's the statistic there that we are so concerned to create this balance in the world?
No, Tanvi, honestly, I'm not concerned about the statistics, and I'm concerned about the hard fact that marital rapes are a reality, and the fake cases on men are also an equal reality, which we are not talking now. We are having some cinematic explanation by some of our panelists, which I mean, who I don't want to name, but we are not debating the fact whether slapping a woman is right or wrong. Of course, for God's sake, it is wrong. It is a crime. We are not debating the fact whether rape is right or wrong. Of course, for God's sake, it is wrong. And we also, all of us know that in the current, the IPC does not, criminalize the marital rape, and that's why we are here for. We are here to debate how do we deal this problem systematically. Now, one of our advocate friend also told that a lot of women should be encouraged to, step up and go to the court. Again, how do you prove? The fake cases are also a reality. Now, the problem here is, I understand, is education, literacy, and one of our advocate friend from joining from Kerala, she pointed out an interesting fact. She got a lot of cases coming, about women reaching her, approaching her, that they have encountered rapes happening in the first night itself. And if that is a reality, then the problem is with the core understanding of marriage as an institution, the core understanding of right sexual education that needs to be imparted from the school itself. So we have a systematic problem here, what we are trying to deal. And we cannot really give ground or give a platform to cinematic explanations, putting a feminism out there, glorifying it, saying that, oh, I'm being slapped. It is such a blunder. I mean, I'm being slapped, and nobody's condemning it. Of course, we are condemning it. Of course, we are very hard about the fact
But I don't need your condemnation, Anurag Naidu. What will I do with your condemnation? Tell me how you're going to put the rapists behind bars.
Why are we not giving importance to the important points raised by my friend Vivek Reddy? It is a truth. It is a hard fact, Tanvi, that fake cases on dowry, fake cases on marital abuses are also there.
And there is legal recourse for it, but not for marital rape.
Statistics, but isn't that a reality?
But
there is a legal recourse for it. There isn't any for marital rape.
Yeah, but that can be used otherwise. If you don't have the right balance, that's
okay.
what I'm saying.
Sandhya Raju wants to counter this. Yes, Sandhya Raju wants to counter it.
I feel by every time when a legislation or a law which comes favoring women, there is suddenly this argument that there will be a lot of fake cases and trying to put women at the defensive, which is actually it's a very sad part, because in reality, it is not the fake cases which are maximum, it is the real cases. And because of the fake cases argument, many people are reluctant to come to court even if they suffer really badly. And I feel we should not even listen to this argument about false cases, because whatever said and done, there could be false cases for even murder or defamation and things like that, but not for this. I mean, I don't think we should at all take a look at that argument of false cases at all, because it's just trying to put women at the defensive while we are talking about legislations favoring women.
Okay, so let me turn it around with Sandhya and ask you this question, because when we a serious conversation, whether it's in a court or in the parliament, does happen about marital rape and legislating a law there, the question will be, how do you prove it? Will it be a very difficult charge to prove? How do you, and that's how the law will have to be written or designed. Then what will entail in such a legislation?
See, like when rape happens with a stranger also, when she's the only person when she and he is the only person there, her statement is given much credence. I think the same logic can apply here also. And women generally do not come and, I mean, even when they face violence, they don't come and talk about sexual violence which they are facing. You have to really probe. And the kind of sexual violence, I mean, the kind of I feel circumstantial evidence and the kind of the emotion, the after effects of the violence which this woman is going through can all be taken as evidence. But that is something we'll have to work out. But with something which happens in the four corners of the bedroom and no outsider is there, it is her word against his word. But then definitely his behavior outside can definitely be seen and considered before we actually finally give an argument, give a decision on whether rape has happened or not. Definitely, if she says that if she has suffered, if she's been forced, I think we'll have to take it that the sexual interaction has been forced.
Brinda, would you agree with that? That yes, while at the end of the day, we need to start off with the argument that, well, a crime has happened, and now we need to go about proving that crime, just like whether it's rape outside or inside the bedroom.
Absolutely. And the two male panelists start on a premise of disbelieving the woman, calling all women liars, telling that they cannot prove it, they will come with false cases. At the end of the day, you also want to ask, like Sandhya pointed out, the number of true cases with facts are higher than your false cases. So what is this? You're harping on the false cases. We need to at least start agreeing today that the testimony of that woman before the magistrate, before the judge, and if the judge feels that, yes, this testimony is something that I believe in completely, I will take it up and I will give the verdict. So why are you so upset about it? When we already established that the structures that are there today are also patriarchal. Look at some of the language that is used in our law is also patriarchal. And that itself is going to take a long time.
I think you're
please, don't. I didn't disturb you, Mr. Vivek Reddy. No.
You're totally confused.
Don't tell me what
you're
I'm
totally
confused about. You must,
and there are no
Mr.
cases
Reddy,
today. Why are you talking about false cases?
What is it that you want to fight?
There are no cases at all today. Where are you discussing false cases?
False cases
and going on statistics.
Mr. Reddy, I interrupted you many times, but Edappagath didn't. So let us speak.
And what we want to ask ourselves over here is this thought that women and the voice.
Okay, now please, I really don't want this to happen again and again. Can I just hear Brinda Adige? Mr. Vivek Reddy, please, can we just have a civil debate here? Allow Brinda Adige to finish.
You have to give me a word also.
I will do that for sure.
Why would you go on that premise? Why do you start that all women coming out to talk about dowry harassment, coming out to talk about sexual violence and rape in the bedroom must be disbelieved? And this is the sanskari soch, that you don't come out and talk about all these things because you're a woman and you're a possession of that man. So don't you dare talk about it. You've been conditioned, you've been taught, you've been told every day. The fact that you come out now, you can't be a good woman. And that is what stops 95% of women really coming out. And like Sandhya pointed out, when women come to us and talk, you really have to ask them, what happened? What happened? They will not even be able to say that I did not give consent. So what is rape? Rape is where consent is not given, not her silence. Oh, she didn't talk, she didn't yell, she didn't shout, so I agreed. Rape is not being able to give that consent or have not given that consent. Based on that, now you argue.
Yes, Mr. Vivek Reddy.
What? Yes, I think, first of all, we have to look at what we are dealing with. When you make a law, you have to look at what sort of an institution what is the sort of institution you're dealing with on which you are trying to make a law. Well, if you look at the Indian institution of marriage, I think it's the most wonderful institution amongst all other institutions of marriage compared to other institutions of marriage in various parts of the world. It has stood the test of time. It is a very stable institution and has been able to bring and has been able to contribute to our society by bringing in a very stable relationship of marriage. Now, when you're trying to deal with such an institution, when you're trying to bring in laws with respect to such an institution, you have to be careful that the very ethos and the basic substratum of this institution is protected. You should not throw it open to the vulnerabilities or the risks of potential allegations against the institution of marriage itself, because you're dealing with a very delicate institution. All that I ask the panelists is, I understand that definitely there are instances where a woman is raped, and there are instances where she's been abused and treated very badly. And we are very sorry that such extreme situations are there, and they are getting more by the day. We understand that also. But when you compare to the 1 second, please.
I'm so sorry, but it's just so, I am not able to process this. Why am I hearing condemnations and apologies from men on this panel? But condemning it or apologizing for what is happening is not going to help Mr. Vivek Reddy. I don't want that. आपको बहुत दुख हुआ या आपको कड़ी निंदा करनी है, मुझे ये नहीं सुनना है. आप इसको कैसे रोकेंगे और उन लोगों को जेल कैसे डालेंगे, मुझे ये सुनना है.
नहीं, वो भी सुनेंगे. But please listen that please don't put up this institution of marriage to this threat and destabilize.
Oh, please don't rape your wives.
Sacred possession that we have.
Men should stop raping their wives, and then the institution of marriage will be protected.
Our Indian institution.
Men should stop raping their wives, and then the institution of marriage will remain sacred.
We are not touched by feminism. Our institutions of marriage
I'm
are
sorry.
not touched by feminism.
Speaking about marital rape doesn't make anybody feminist.
Please don't.
Brinda Dige, please.
Mr. Vivek Reddy, you are actually making a statement and saying that the institution, this beautiful institution called marriage, according to you, must stand on the pillars of rape, sexual abuse, violence, and disbelief of this woman. Disbelief of this woman. Is that what you're saying?
That is your, I would say that is your imagination, your fallacy.
No, you said that just now.
You are misled yourself to believe.
Just now.
You have misled yourself to believe that Indian institution of marriage is standing on rape. That is the extent to which you have misled yourself. I'm very sorry. Indian institution of marriage is not standing. Please don't bring these false facts. Please wash out these false facts. And don't propagate it on national media. Indian institution of marriage stands
You're getting very confused.
one of the greatest values.
But remember, you
of
are
society.
speaking for the government. You are not speaking as Mr. Vivek Reddy.
Are you
speaking as the government.
I am not.
It's very important
Please
for you to
understand,
remember that when you say that.
I am talking about the institution of marriage. I am talking about the institution of marriage and its
why don't
cherished
you
values.
quickly say what you're saying?
This institution of marriage, as you are trying to point out, this institution of marriage is not filled with rapists. It is not filled with rape. I am sorry. Indian institution of marriage
rape
is
victims,
not
it can be filled with rape
such
victims.
anomalies. These anomalies are there. They are rare.
Anomalies.
These anomalies, unfortunately, you are trying to say that these anomalies are the
I'm
normal
not saying
stereotype.
that. I'm agreeing with you.
Which is a false propaganda.
I'm agreeing with you.
Let's be clear about that.
Okay, I'm agreeing with you.
Let's be clear about
Yes,
Now,
okay, one at a time. Yes, Karuna Nandi,
Mr.
please.
Vivek Reddy. Marriage is a beautiful thing, right? It's two people who love each other, coming together and saying, let us make a life together. There, I think we all agree. We have an intervener in the case on marital rape. It is the Forum for the Engagement of Men. It's an umbrella organization for a huge number of NGOs that work with men. And they are saying that we want marital rape to be criminalized. And these good men are saying that we want marital rape to be criminalized because
they are not the voice
we
of the
have
nation.
married women that we respect, women who we want to be equal partners in our lives, to be able
few
to
NGOs
say no
getting
to
together
us.
is not the voice of the
Because
nation.
if you take away the ability, please let me finish. If you take away the ability of a person to say no, you take away her ability to say a complete and joyful yes. You reduce her to a legal subject and a sexual object.
Again,
What
this is a
women
chattel
married
argument. Please.
partners.
Please.
And that
Please,
is
I
why
don't think
the men and women
Indian marriage
and
as it
trans
stands
people,
today.
everybody who is standing
No.
for bodily integrity and consent today are saying that whether you are married, whether you are separated, whether you are single, a rapist is a rapist. And the government must recognize this.
Well,
It's nice
let
that
me tell
the
you.
men on this panel are saying that they are sad or whatever. Honestly, what I'm sure your friends and family are interested in that. However, what is vital is for the government to act and to legislate and to make sure that marital rape is a crime, because you can't kill your wife, you can't slap your wife in the bedroom, you can't criminally sexually assault your wife. And you
Nobody
know
said we
what?
can.
You
Come on.
cannot make your
And I think when government makes such a legislation that you are proposing, government must also have a consideration about the sort of the greater ramifications of such a legislation and the potential abuse of this legislation.
See, we are
And I
all
think a
against
few
false
NGOs coming
cases.
together is not the
Reddy,
voice of the
you
nation.
must realize
It is
that
not the
there
voice
is
of the
a crime
nation.
called the crime of
And
malicious
and the
prosecution.
day,
And you're not
That
the voice of the
my
nation.
learned friend
India will
Kerala will
not reach such
confirm.
a day,
It's a
Karunanandi.
crime.
Karunanandi, India will not reach such a day where you think that marital rape is happening in every home. India will not reach such a day. Don't worry.
Mr.
But
Vivek
If at all
Reddy,
it
but
reaches such
India
a
is
day,
If it
also not in
if
a
at all it
place.
reaches such a day,
Mr. Vivek
we
Reddy,
will do our
but India is
legislation.
also not in a
Don't worry.
place where you
India
think
has
these
not
are
reached such a
anomalies.
day.
By
We have
Vivek Reddy,
precious
each
India is
other.
also not in a place where you think
I'm
these
so
are
sorry to
anomalies.
say,
Now, if I may
we
just
have
read
such a
out
precious institution of
something which
marriage
was actually
that we will
submitted
not
by
reach such a day.
Justice Verma
Our
Committee.
traditions and
The
Sanskriti are
Justice Verma
so
Committee
good.
report. Can I just speak to my viewers now? I think Vivek Reddy simply just decided to not allow anybody, any woman to have any voice on the issue of marital rape. No, 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 no. Don't hear, don't talk, don't listen about it, don't acknowledge it, and it will go away. Because if you do recognize it, that will just mean that every Indian woman will stand up, every Indian married woman will stand up and start filing false cases against her husband in the name of marital rape. It's a joke, that excuse that is often given to us. But here is what somebody who genuinely wanted to look into this issue and bring about a change had to say. And that is Justice Verma. And the Justice Verma committee that looked into the issue of marital rape said it needs to be made into a crime. And that under the existing laws, where the exemption is given to marital rape, that exemption stems from outdated notion of marriage. The notion that regards wives as property of husbands, and where wife is deemed to have consented to intercourse just because she is married. So the committee recommended that the exception for marital rape be removed, and the law ought to specify a marital or other relationship between the perpetrator or victim is not a valid defense against crimes of rape or sexual violence. It is not a valid defense to say, because I am married to you, I can do this to you. It also recommended the fact that accused and victim are married or in another intimate relationship may not be regarded as a mitigating factor justifying lower sentences for rape either. The committee went into the extent of even talking about the kind of punishment which should be like it is for any other rape, and said just because they have married, the punishment shouldn't be any lesser. Now, if as a country and a government, we begin to fear false cases and take that as an excuse to not bring in new legislation for protection of its citizens, then I think we've horribly already gone wrong with what our vision for the country is. If as a country, a society and a government in 2021, we still want to believe in outdated laws that were created at a time where women were openly treated as property of men, then there is something inherently wrong with us. This was the same problem that existed even with the adultery law, which also saw and treated women as personal property or cattle. And that's changed. Why should this not change? I am so glad that the Kerala High Court has at least recognized marital rape as grounds for divorce. But I don't think we should give up on this until it is recognized as a crime that it is, a brutal crime against a woman. Thank you for joining us.